Hello everyone. So we are going to get started with the work by spending some time reviewing solving equations. Okay, this should all be a review for you. You've seen all of this in previous grades. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we are going to review first because you probably forgot things over the summer. Okay, before we get into some questions to try, I want to give you a list of the steps that we apply when solving any equation, okay? So you have these notes. They should be in front of you if you printed them out. If not, you're taking notes on just a sheet of lined paper, okay, doing what I do in these notes, and you're putting these notes in the note section of your binder. Okay, let's get started. So, steps to solving an equation. Number one, distributed property. What do we look for to tell if we have the distributed property? Well, distributed property looks like that, right? Distribute that 10. We look for parentheses, okay? That kind of gives away that we have to distribute that 10. Okay, step two, combine like terms. Okay, so if I have, let's say 3x plus 7x equals 100, of course you're going to want to simplify to 10x equals 100, okay? Combine those two terms because they're like terms. Okay, next step, add or subtract, all right? If there is a variable on each side, move them all to one side. So in other words, if we had 9x equals 3x plus 6, I have a variable over here, I have a variable over here. So I'm going to bring this 3x to the left side by subtracting the 3x. Okay, giving me 6x equals 6. Okay, your variables need to be alone on just one side of the equal sign. Okay? And finally, your last step is going to be divide or multiply. Okay, it's almost always going to be divide, sometimes multiply, but not really on the stuff that you're going to do today. Okay, so number one, we have this equation, 7v minus 6 equals negative 62. All right, so the question asks you for each value of v, so these four values of v, determine whether it's a solution to the equation. So we could substitute in the 3 and see if we get a true statement, same substituting the negative 8, the 9, the negative 5. But we don't need to do that. Let's solve this equation and then see if the answer choice is on here. Okay, so applying these steps that we talked about above, and by the way, I like splitting up the equal sign to tell the left side of the equation apart from the right side equation. Okay, step one says distribute, look for parentheses. Do we have any parentheses here? No. Step two, combine like terms. Do we have any like terms here? Well, the negative 6 and negative 62 are like terms, but they're not on the same side. They have to be on the same side of that equal sign, so they're not combinable. Step three, add or subtract. If there's a variable on each side, move them all to one side. Well, we only have a variable on one side, which is what we want. So we want to start by adding or subtracting something. I can add that 6, okay? So we have 7v equals negative 62 plus 6. Different signs, we subtract 62 minus 6, 56. And keep the sign of the larger, so that's going to be negative 56. Okay? So we did this, we didn't have any of those. We subtracted. Now we're going to finish. We want to get rid of that 7, so division by 7 will accomplish that. Okay? When we multiply or divide and we have different signs, I have a positive a negative divided by a positive, the answer will be negative. 56 divided by 7 is 8, so that'll be negative 8, which means negative 8 will get a yes. Everything else will get a no. Okay? So you'll have a few problems on your assignment like that. Let's take a look at number 2. I'm going to rewrite it down here so we have more room. Okay, step 1, distribute, nothing to distribute. Step 2, combine. We have the 46 and 12, but again, they're not on the same side of the equal sign like they need to be, so they're not combinable. All right, step 3, add or subtract. What can I add or subtract from each side? Well, I want to isolate that 2v, so I'm going to get rid of that 12, and we're going to do that by subtracting 12. So that's 34 equals 2v, and we'll finish by getting v alone, so dividing by 2. 17 is equal to v. All right. Number 3 is trickier than it looks. A lot of people mess up. Number 3. Okay. So, of course, there's nothing to distribute here. There's no like terms because the 217 and the 159 are on opposite sides. So we should get rid of that 159 first. That's a positive 159, so we'll move it over by subtraction. Okay. So 217 minus 159 is 58 equals, this is the part that people miss. 58 is not our answer because we don't have y alone. We have negative y, which is not what we want to solve for y and not solve for negative y. Okay, you should remember negative y means that there's a negative 1 in front of y, that the coefficient of y is negative 1. So it's like 58 equals negative 1y. You don't need to put the negative 1, but if it helps you, go ahead and put it. All right, so we're going to finish by dividing by negative 1 to get rid of that negative. Okay, 58 divided by negative 1, negative 58. When we multiply or divide and the signs are different, the answer is negative, like we were saying before. So we have negative 58 is equal to y. Okay. Number 4. So number 4 has parentheses, so we are going to need to distribute here. Remember how distributive property works? We take the outside, we multiply it by everything on the inside. So 2 times 4y, 8y, 2 times positive 7, positive 14, equals 62. Okay, that was step 1, distribute. Step 2, like terms, don't have any. Step 3, add or subtract. So we can subtract the 14. 8y equals 48. And last step, we'll divide by 8. And x is 6. Okay. The last one, 5w equals 56 minus 3w. So nothing to distribute here. No like terms. Again, we have 5w on the left and a negative 3w on the right. They are like terms, but they're on different sides. Can't combine them. Okay. Next, step 3 said add or subtract, and it also said if you have variables on both sides, bring them all to one side. So I'm going to bring the negative 3w, I'm going to bring the negative 3w over to the left with the 5w. And we'll do that, of course, by adding 3w. So we have 8w equals 56. Great, so we have all the variables on the left side. And of course, we'll finish by dividing by 8. We have W equals 7. Okay, so again, the first assignment is called Solving Multi-Step Equations Review, Part 1. All right, it has 25 questions, I believe. Again, this should all be a review. If you're struggling with anything, please send me an email. We can make an appointment to do a Google Meet, or we'll figure out something. But really, this should be a review for everyone. Shouldn't be anything more. There shouldn't be anything new learned here. Okay.